In this video I will show you how to replace the fuel pressure sensor on Ram 1500 pickup trucks equipped with 5.7-liter Hemi engine. Step number 1. Park the truck on a level surface, engage the emergency brake and place blocks in front of and behind the rear wheels for safety. 2. Open the engine compartment and remove the fuse box cover by pressing inward on the cover latches and pulling the cover upward by hand simultaneously. 3. Locate the fuel pump fuse according to the diagram printed underneath the fuse box cover and remove the fuse by pulling it upward with needle nose pliers or using the fuse puller that is attached to the underside of the cover. 4. Start the truck's engine and let it shut off automatically to relieve pressure in the fuel line. 5. Disconnect the negative battery cable and move it to the side, making sure that it doesn't touch the positive cable or any metal part of the engine. 6. Disconnect the air intake temperature sensor cable by pressing inward on the connector lock and pulling it outward simultaneously to completely disconnect it. 7. Loosen the air intake duct clamps using a flathead screwdriver or a ratchet and an 8mm socket. 8. Once the clamps are loose, remove the air intake duct by simply pulling it up and out simultaneously with your hands. 9. Detach and remove the top engine cover by simply pulling it up with your hands. 10. Visually locate the fuel pressure sensor located on the driver's side of the engine shown on the screen. 11. Disconnect the electrical connector from the fuel pressure sensor by pulling back the connector lock with a small hook or flathead screwdriver. Once the connector lock is slid back, press inward on the connector lock and pull it outward simultaneously to completely disconnect it. 12. Place a clean towel under the fuel pressure sensor as shown on the screen, wear protective eyewear and take the necessary safety precautions to avoid an accidental fire, as you will be working with highly flammable fuel. 13. Release the fuel line connector retaining clip by prying up on the retaining clip with a small hook or flathead screwdriver as shown on the screen. 14. Next, apply downward pressure to the end of the connector retaining clip to make it easier to disconnect the fuel line. Place a second towel over the fuel line to avoid spraying fuel on the engine components or yourself. Pull the fuel line straight out by hand to completely disconnect it as shown on the screen. 15. Remove the fuel line retaining clip from the sensor at the other end by prying it out with a small hook or flathead screwdriver. 16. Next, insert a fuel line removal tool similar to the one shown on the screen and apply pressure against the line on the tool and at the same time, pull the fuel line out with your other hand to disconnect it. 17. Install the new fuel pressure sensor in its original position and apply pressure inward against the fuel line. Pull it outward gently to ensure that it is installed correctly. 18. Install the fuel line or sensor retaining clip in its original position, applying pressure inward with your hand, ensuring it sits correctly. 19. Install the other end of the line or sensor in its original position, ensuring that it is seated correctly. Same as the other side, pull the line outward gently to ensure that it is installed correctly and it doesn't disconnect when you pull on it. 20. Connect the sensor's electrical plug in its original position, pressing it inward on the connector, ensuring it is seated correctly. Next, slide the connector lock inward as shown on the screen. 21. Install the fuel pump fuse in its original position, ensuring that it is seated all the way. 22. Connect the negative battery cable back on the battery and tighten the nut firmly. 23. Start the engine and let it idle. Check for fuel leaks at the fuel pressure sensor connections. If everything is okay, turn the engine off. 24. Install the top engine cover in its original position by pressing down on the cover till it snaps back into place. 25. Install the air intake duct in its original position and tighten the clamps firmly. 26. Connect the air intake temperature sensor electrical plug back on. 27. Install the fuse box cover back on, pressing down on the cover with your hand till it snaps back into place. Clear the diagnostic code stored in the engine control module using a scanner. That's how simple it is to replace the fuel pressure sensor on Ram 1500 trucks equipped with 5.7-liter Hemi engines.